Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're out at the range talking about 308 rifles. Now, if you follow the channel over the last couple of years, I've documented my transition from 5.56 back into 308, and I've given my reasons for that switch. But this video is going to talk about some of the comments I had seen in those videos. People would make comments like, that's great, but not everybody can have a SIG spear. And I get that. I wasn't really talking about the SIG spear. I was talking about the 308. So I want to address that. I want to show you guys some of the options that are out there. We're going to focus on AR-10s in this video that kind of span anywhere from $2,700 to a little over $1,000 in price. And we'll talk about some of the features and stuff like that, but what you can get for your money in 308 that isn't necessarily a $4,000 SIG spear. So buckle up, get ready. Let's talk about some 308 rifles, what options are out there, and take a look in depth at some of the AR-10s in particular. American Hartford Gold is dedicated to helping individuals and families invest in precious metals. This includes gold, silver, platinum, in both bars and coins. They provide both physical delivery to one's doorstep or inside of a retirement account like an IRA, 401k, or TSP. American Hartford Gold helps clients achieve greater security for their future by adding a safe haven asset to their portfolio. Investors receive only the highest quality gold and silver coins offered at competitive prices with 100% customer satisfaction guaranteed. American Hartford Gold has an excellent Trustpilot rating from over 1,000 customers. They're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. They have a price match guarantee, a buyback commitment, and free maintenance and storage for up to 3 years. American Hartford Gold has a special offer for Military Arms Channel viewers of up to $5,000 in free silver on qualified orders. So please call 866-406-1988 today or text military to 65532. Again, that is 866-406-1988 or text military to 65532. So please swing by and check out American Hartford Gold. I will put a link in the video description below. So in today's video, we're going to talk about 3 different rifles. We're going to start off at the higher end of the price spectrum with the Daniel Defense DD5 V3 that you see here. We've done videos on this gun, so I'm not going to go into great detail about the features of the rifle. If you want to learn more about this particular gun, go back and reference the video that we dedicated to this one. 2 of the 3 rifles in today's video already have existing videos. So the one that we do not have a video on, I'll go into a little bit more depth in this video so you can better understand some of the features of that particular rifle. So the DD5 V3. This is on the top end of the AR-10 spectrum. In my opinion, this thing exudes quality. The accuracy on this thing is sub-minute. It's outstanding. And it's capable of being, something you can use for self-defense, something you use for hunting, because it does chamber that 308. You can get it in other cartridges, but we're just talking about 308. I do want to thank our friends over at Federal, by the way. Federal supplies the ammunition to our channel free of charge. I've been shooting Federal since I was a kid in high school. Love the ammunition. Great company, produce great products, and yeah, so big thanks to Federal for helping us out here. So the Daniel Defense. This rifle is a more classic AR-10, and by that, if you take a look, if you take a look back here, just behind the pistol grip, you're going to see the receiver extends out and back about an inch or so. So this is what I refer to sometimes in video as a long action or a long receiver AR-10, because the trend now is to shorten these receivers. And it's kind of interesting that Daniel Defense hasn't done that, but that doesn't take away from the utility of this rifle. Now, a lot of the rifles that you're going to see out there, modern AR-10s, aren't going to have the big AR-10 buffer tube, or HK, that has a really big buffer tube on it. Many of them, like this Daniel Defense, is going to use a M4 style buffer tube, and that opens up the door to compatibility with a wide variety of accessories that are stock related. Some of the AR-10 tubes vary in size, like I was talking about the HK versus other rifles. So having that compatibility with M4 style accessories certainly is a benefit, right, to this rifle, in my opinion. Now, the AR-10 is an outstanding rifle. It is the predecessor, obviously, to the AR-15, and Eugene Stoner designed this beauty. This rifle does make use of direct gas impingement. We refer to it as internal piston. The gun is not lightweight. It's fairly heavy. When you go into the short receiver guns, you're going to find this inch coming off the rear end. That material does lighten the gun up noticeably. But when it comes to ergonomics, quality, controls, you'll find on the Daniel Defense, for example, over here on the right, we do have a bolt release, and then we can also use it as a bolt hold, which is a really nice touch. It's well located. I really like the ergonomics. You have ambi select lever and things like that. So one of the things that I really like about the Daniel Defense series of rifles is they manufacture their own barrels. They're cold hammer forged. These are outstanding quality barrels. And the accuracy out of these has been nothing short of spectacular, getting match quality performance out of a rifle that like I said earlier, you can use for self-defense, hunting, whatever. So an outstanding choice. The downside, full MSRP, the actual price would be something less. Full MSRP on this is going to be right around $2,700. So you are getting up there close to SIG Spear prices. Another $1,000 to get to the SIG Spear price. So it's not inexpensive. But if you're looking for a top tier AR-10, you certainly can't go wrong with a Daniel Defense. All right, let's move to the mid-tier rifle and talk about it. This one's a little bit different. Doesn't use direct gas impingement or internal piston. It uses a short stroke gas piston. Let's take a look at this one. So next up, we have a short-framed AR-10. This one's manufactured by Adams Arms. It's different than the other two rifles in today's video because this one uses a short stroke gas piston system. This rifle will come to market. Full MSRP is right around $16.99. Again, what you would actually pay at your local gun store would be something less than that. We're quoting MSRP just to keep it level because prices will fluctuate, but generally speaking, they will be less than what MSRP is. So the Adams Arms rifle comes in mid-tier to the rifles that we're talking about today, but it has that short stroke gas piston that many people really like. Now, me, I'm a DI guy, but short stroke gas pistons certainly have their favoritism within the 2A community, and some folks just simply want it. So here's that option for you. It's less expensive than the DD, and it offers that short stroke gas piston. So let's kind of start off because this is the new guy on the block. We've not done a video on this gun before. So we'll start off with the rear, move our way forward, talking about the features of the rifle. So back here, we have a standard M4 style buffer tube. We have a staked castle nut on it, and this is a Chris stock. It's an adjustable stock, good quality. Moving forward, we have an A2 style forward assist on here. You'll notice that where I pointed out earlier that the DD receiver came back about an inch, you'll notice this is shortened. All right, when we get inside the gun, you'll see what they've done. So they've shortened the action, gotten rid of that material, brought the whole gun much smaller, getting it closer to an AR-15 sized rifle, but still chambering the very potent .308 cartridge. Above that, we have a Radian Raptor LT charging handle. We have Chris sights. These are backup sights. You can, if you take a look at the sight itself, you can flip it over from like a combat wide open aperture to a more precision small aperture, and the sights are very positive. Do not require tools to make adjustments, either the front nor the rear sight. Over here, we have something of a brass case deflector, a polymer port cover, and then we have an ambi bolt hold bolt release. This looks very similar to the PDQ. That was a product that was offered that you could modify your existing AR-15 and put one into it. And this allows you to both lock the bolt open and also release the bolt. Very good spot, easy to get to. It's a good ambi control. Right below that, you have your magazine release. Uses standard AR-15 triggers. You'll notice that the triggers do have screws in them, so they're anti-walk pins that are in the gun. Has ambi fire controls as well. Moving forward, standard SR25 PMAG compatibility. We have the pick rail across the rail here, or I'm sorry, across the top of the receiver. Then of course we have the rail system, nice lightweight rail. The gun is relatively lightweight. And then we have pick rail all the way out. Now the barrel itself is a 1 in 10 twist, and it is not chrome lined. It is nitrided, which I have no problem with nitriding. Not a problem. 5/8 by 24 thread on the end. And then on here we have an OSS/Huxworks suppressor. So the rifle itself, and then we also have a Hogue style grip back here. Ergo grip, I believe it's called, which actually feels pretty darn good on the gun. Now, the trigger in this gun is extremely light. Now, like on the DD, I shoot sub-minute groups with that thing, but it has more of a mil-spec type trigger in it, probably 7.5 pound trigger pull. This thing is extremely light and has no over travel. It's almost like a match grade trigger in the gun. I prefer a heavier trigger, I should point that out, especially on a defensive rifle. But on a match rifle, lighter triggers, people prefer them. So I'm going to go ahead and open the gun up here because I want to show you something that's really cool. So when you get into the short frame AR-10s, now you'll notice that the bolt sprung back. That's a byproduct of the fact that it is a short stroke gas piston gun. I should also mention that the gas block sits right out here, has what they call a government profile barrel, but there's no real standard to AR-10s. And then you have an adjustable gas block. The adjustable gas block has detents. You can, when you adjust it, you can feel it click. It's very positive, and you can access it with a flathead screwdriver from the front here. So you don't have to take your handguard off to make adjustments to the gas system. Okay, now, when I take the bolt out and carrier, you can see that it's very short back here, has the same profile as an AR-15 or an M4. And then you can see it's a little bit longer here. So that would be your AR-10 girth. And if you look at the bolt itself, it has a larger than an AR-15, AR-10 style bolt. That will become important when we talk about the next rifle. Now, if you take a look at this next to the Daniel Defense bolt and carrier, it gives you an idea of how much Adams Arms has lightened up the bolt and carrier. So it's not only shorter, has less material, but it's still, like the AR-10 or the DD, it has a large bolt head on it. Now you'll notice the DD has 2 ejectors and the Adams Arms has 1 large ejector. But because it's not an internal piston design, it has a spring in there which pushes the bolt forward, and that's why it wants to spring out of the receiver when you open it up. And we'll save this for later because it'll become important. So other than that, you have just, standard AR-15 style trigger system in there, as I pointed out, standard M4 style buffer tube. So overall, you're going to have parts compatibility with certain aspects of it because it's a short stroke gas piston. There's going to be some proprietary parts. And certainly when you get into these short frames, there's really no standard, as we'll show you with the Ruger in our next segment. The bolts and carriers and stuff like that in many of these rifles are just non-standard, not compatible with each other, and that's where you get into some potential problems for, shiznit hits the fan type firearms and stuff like that. If you want parts compatibility, you'll probably want to pick something that uses standard parts. The AR-10 just doesn't. So let's put her back together, do a little bit of shooting with her real quick, because again, we've not talked about this rifle much. I'm just using a Lancer 10-round magazine. Now you'll notice over here on the left-hand side has a standard ping pong paddle. It's kind of recessed here that you can get to. There is no mag release over on the left-hand side, but I'm right-handed, not wrong-handed, so that doesn't really affect me. But if you're a lefty, that's something you'll want to consider. Charge this bad boy up, and we'll do a little bit of shooting, 150 yards. That trigger, I would want in a match rifle. That is an outstanding trigger. But again, in a fighting rifle, I would probably go for something a little bit heavier, but it certainly shoots nice. Now, the accuracy on this, I don't have a magnified optic on it. I'll do a little bit of shooting with the red dot sight at 100 yards, videotape that so you guys can get an idea. And we're just shooting federal ball, which is 3-inch-ish type ammunition typically. It's not meant for match quality or high performance in that regard. So overall, again, about $16.99 full MSRP on these. And it gives you that short stroke gas piston, gives you some ambi controls, nice lightweight firearm. It's a decent rifle. Certainly something to consider if you're in the AR-10 market. So if this is still a little bit salty for you, or you don't want a piston, you prefer DI, we have one more option for you. So let's take a look at that rifle next. So the Ruger SFAR, this is one of the most interesting AR-10s to come out in recent times. We did a full video on this rifle. There's a lot of people out there talking about it. It is an interesting rifle for a number of different reasons. First of all, full MSRP on it is like $1,300 and some bucks, but again, you can typically pick them up for just a little over $1,000, so it's certainly the most affordable rifle out here this afternoon. But it also has the short frame on it, very short frame on it, and much like POF, who has done a lot of work in shortening the AR-10 action with the Evolution type rifles and stuff like that, and we've done videos on them. POF's done some amazing work in shortening and lightening the AR-10 and getting it, again, down to AR-15 size, which is what Ruger did here. Think of this as kind of a POF that's affordable, the POF at home, right? Doesn't have all the upgrades that POF does, but it has that shortened size, that lightweight, which really appeals to me, but there's some concerns, which we'll point out here in a minute. So this rifle, as I pointed out, is nice lightweight, has that short receiver on it, uses a standard M4 tube, which means you can use standard stocks on it, stuff like that. It has no ambi controls, so right out of the box, you're not going to have an ambi fire control, you're not going to have an ambi hold bolt release, you have just a standard mag release here. But notice the receiver, it's like huge up here, like AR-10 huge, and then AR-15 small back here. And again, the forward assist, but if you look at this and compare it to the Adams Arms forward assist was even further back. This thing is scrunched. It is tiny to that point. Well, when we take it apart, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if you take a look at the Ruger, Very lightweight, very minimalistic rail out here, that super short action, lack of ambi controls, but the price is very attractive. The accuracy on this thing is right at a minute or a little less. This thing has superb accuracy, even though it has a very lightweight profile barrel, and I generally like this rifle. Now, I know Hop has had some problems with his, continuing problems. I've not had any problems. I see a lot of other reviewers out there with their rifles that haven't had issues, so I recommend the Ruger SFAR, but keep in mind, some folks out there have problems, but that's true with pretty much any manufactured item. Now, this is where things get really, really interesting with the Ruger. So let's go ahead and pop this bad boy open. Take out the bolt and carrier. Look at the size of that, folks. That is an AR-15 sized bolt and carrier. As a matter of fact, the charging handle I just showed you is a standard M4 style charging handle. This will work on the AR-15 and it works on the Ruger SFAR. That's a small action, dude. That is really, really tiny. That's one of the things that really piqued my interest on this rifle. But now if you take a look at the bolt on this thing, it's not a full AR-10 sized bolt. And this is where the concern may come in. Now, we haven't seen one fail. I haven't caused one to fail. We just won't know until time passes and people get 10,000 rounds through one of these, whether or not this is going to be a failure point for the gun. But I certainly like what Ruger has done. The metallurgy and stuff in the bolt probably is something that they addressed in design to make it survive. But here's the Adams Arms bolt and carrier. Look how small that Ruger is. And then here's the DD bolt and carrier. So most expensive, second most expensive, and least expensive rifles out here. Look how they progressively get small. And this goes to my earlier point that nothing in the AR-10 world is standard. Outside from stock sets, pistol grips, triggers, things like that. When you get into bolts and carriers and operating systems, many times they're going to change so much that you're not going to take the bolt out of your DD and put it in your Ruger or vice versa. So that's one of the concerns if you're looking at a 308 AR-10 for self-defense. All right, let's put her back together. But overall, this gun is super lightweight. This is literally the size of an AR-15, which really is intriguing to me. Throw some Federal in there, and let's pop off a few rounds. Despite being super small and light, this thing doesn't kick hardly at all, any more than the other rifles. I really like it. So, out of the three rifles out here, I like them all, okay? I like the DD, I like the Adams Arms, I like the Ruger. But when you take a look at everything all combined, I would probably lean towards the SFAR with that minor concern about the bolt. Now, we've got a full video on this. We talk about some of the vent holes in the receiver and things like that that Ruger's done in the engineering department to make this gun as safe as they possibly can. But, you know, I still think that of the guns out here, this is probably my favorite. I shoot it the most. Outstanding accuracy, super lightweight, and certainly a good candidate for that defensive rifle because of its small size and light weight and the fact that it chambers the 308. But you certainly can't go wrong with the other two rifles out here. The Adams Arms has been a good rifle for us, and the DD has definitely been a good rifle for us as well. So this will give you guys some options, give you something to think about, and there's certainly more products out there. These aren't the only three AR-10s that you could consider if you're looking to switch to 308. It's just something I wanted to share with you guys, stuff that I had on hand that I find interesting and might be of interest to you if you're considering a switch as well. All right, folks, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you would like to support us here at the Military Arms Channel, the best way to do that is to become part of our Patreon family. There's a link in the video description below. Also, right here on YouTube, you got the little join and thanks button underneath the video player you're watching right now. Mash either one of those buttons. You can support us here on YouTube in the age of demonetization. Last but not least, please swing by, check out Copper Custom. Thank you for 15 years of support. We'll talk to you guys soon.